You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph, and today we are talking about the 49ers' 8th win in a row. They beat the Washington Commanders today in impressive fashion. You guys can't see it right now, but I had to put on my George Kittle shirt. There we go. Hell yeah, because he had an awesome performance today, as did Brock Purdy, as did this 49ers defense. So we're going to talk all about it right now. Not much to say about the first half, to be honest. It was a defensive battle in large part. The 49ers in that first half ran 21 offensive plays. Most of their yardage in the first half came from one play, Ray McCloud's touchdown run that had 71 yards, and 20 other plays they ran counted for 78 yards. So something that they needed to work on in that first half. They didn't get a lot of action. And to that point, the Commanders' offense weren't doing so bad. At the half, Heineke had 8 of 11, 89 yards, a touchdown, and a passer rating of 126.7. Brock Purdy at the half was 4 of 9, 55 yards, and an interception, although that interception was not his fault at all. That was all Juwan Jennings. He bobbled the ball. That was a perfect ball from Brock Purdy, and Juwan Jennings just bobbled it, and it ended up in the hands of a defender. So that interception, I'm saying that's not on Purdy. Yeah. And then so even in the first half, the time of possession, Washington won that battle. They had the ball for 20 minutes compared to the 49ers little under 10. And I mean, I told you to start this game in my preview episodes, right? Both of these teams win in time of possession. They are the first and second team ranked in time of possession. And so someone had to come away with that at some point in this game. Actually, a lot of what I talked about in my preview episodes ended up being seen in this game. Washington loves to run the football. We saw even when they were down, they continue to run it. It's just a huge part of their identity. They want to beat you with the run. They want to control the clock. All of this. Also, we saw, their receivers, they're really good, right? They can be covered. They can look covered and still come down with the football. They're very impressive that way. And we saw a couple plays in this game where, we saw that on full display. In that first half, though, the 49ers allowed just 2.2 yards per carry, but the Commanders attempted 24 carries in the first half. Heineke was able to convert he was able to convert 3 third and longs, and he found some weak spots in the 49ers secondary, which is what helped lead to that first Commanders touchdown. There was also some 49ers penalties that, kind of shot themselves in the foot in that first half. The other thing that helped, as I mentioned, was the interception that Brock Purdy had, air quotes here, because it was actually Juwan Jennings bobbling the ball that led to that first Commanders touchdown. And the 49ers were just averaging 3.9 yards per play at the half. So not much going in that first half. As I expected, it was going to be a defensive battle, but then halftime happened. And after halftime, everything changed for this 49ers team. The 49ers came out of the half with a huge answer. Brock Purdy, couple of first downs to Ayuk and George Kittle, and then Purdy with a hell of a throw to George Kittle for the 35-yard touchdown. There were 2 guys open at the same spot on that one. Both Kittle and Ray McCloud were both open around the same area. Kyle Shanahan said after the game that play was actually designed for Ray McCloud, but it was actually Kittle who got that touchdown, got in front of it, and just a beautiful ball from Brock Purdy, regardless of who was supposed to be getting that touchdown. They were both pretty much in the area. And so 49ers with a hell of an answer after the half. And the 49ers defense got in on it too, They got off the field. They forced a quick 3-and-out. Both sides, traded a couple 3-and-outs at that point. But after the 49ers forced a turnover on downs, after Washington came up short on the 4th-and-1, that helped give another boost to this team. And the 49ers offense were able to score after that as well. Another touchdown for George Kittle. And I got to give credit to Juwan Jennings for George Kittle's second touchdown, because he actually had a very key block on that one that helped Kittle get into the end zone. So I guess in a way, Juwan Jennings did, redeem himself for, the interception that he caused. Commanders had only allowed 3 touchdowns to tight ends all year. If you guys watched my preview episodes, you know that I wasn't expecting a big game for George Kittle, because I was like, the Commanders are one of, if not the best defense against tight ends. Had only allowed 3 total touchdowns to tight ends this season. Kittle had 2 today, 4 in the last 2 games. It seems that the Commanders defense was selling out to stop Christian McCaffrey, and they were really keen in on him. Another thing that I expected going into this game. And so it really wasn't a surprise that other guys saw opportunity. So I guess it ended up helping George Kittle in the grand scheme of things. They just weren't covering him like you would expect. And George Kittle now has 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Huge, huge, huge. But following the 49ers defensive drive, Charvarius Ward went into the blue medical tent and missed that drive. So the Commanders took advantage of that, and they hit a couple of big pass plays to their receivers. First, it was Jahan Dotson going against Samuel Womack, who was playing on the outside in place of Charvarius Ward. Dotson came down with it. They get into the red zone. Then Heineke, with a lot of time to throw, too much time to throw, able to find McLaurin for the touchdown. And so, they end up scoring. And the 49ers following drive ends with a field goal. Commanders at that point down 10, 24-14. And Charvarius Ward at this point of the game, it was still unsure if he would come back. He did end up coming back to the game, thankfully, because he did go to the locker room, and some people were wondering if it was another concussion for Charvarius Ward. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. He was clear to come back in. He did return to the game, so we didn't have to finish the game with Samuel Womack and Lenore as outside corners, thankfully, because that could have been, pretty bad. And, honestly, if you have a guy like Nick Bosa on your defensive line, sometimes it doesn't matter who you have on the back end. Bosa with the strip sack on Heineke, and that ball just popped right into the hands of Jordan Willis. That was Bosa's second sack of the day. He now has 17 and a half sacks on the season. I don't know how you don't there can't be anyone on earth that thinks that Bosa is in the DPOY at this point, right? Right? There's no way people are watching what Bosa is doing lately and thinks that he can't be DPOY. 17 and a half sacks on the season. He's 2 sacks away from the 19 and a half that Aldon Smith had, and he's still trying to get that 20 piece. So yeah, that was a huge play for Bosa, and the 49ers take over at Washington's 11, but the offense can't get anything going besides a field goal. So once again, the field goal is good. 49ers go up 27-14. But the Commanders' first play of their following drive, you would think, they need to get something going really bad. And Taylor Heineke throws an interception to Jimmy Ward. And I just want to give some flowers to Jimmy Ward really quick, because I've been talking about it. I talked about it in the preview episode yesterday that, Ward, ever since he took over as, the slot corner, at first, that was shaky, right? Like, we were all a little bit nervous about that because it didn't seem like it was his here. This is what I shared yesterday on my defense preview episode. If you look at week 7 through 11, there wasn't a whole lot there for Jimmy Ward, and he was kind of struggling a little bit. But we see that ever since then, he's had a great run. And, he has what did I say? Forced fumble. He has he has 2 interceptions since week 13. So he's playing some good football right now, and I got to give him his flowers, got to give him his props for how he's been playing as of late. And the 49ers need that definitely going into the playoffs. So 49ers, once again, they get a field goal. They're up 30-14. At this point, the Commanders have seen enough of Taylor Heineke. We have broken the Commanders. They turn to Carson Wentz. You know, when you turn to Carson Wentz, it's not good, you know? And so Wentz, surprisingly, he was pretty efficient, you know, when he got the ball on that first drive that he was in. He made some passes just before getting sacked a couple times. Also, I felt like there was an opportunity for Kyle Shanahan to challenge a play. You guys might know which one I'm talking about. The one where I believe it was Jahan Dotson who caught the pass, or it looked like he bobbled it, so like it popped up. And so I think they called it an incomplete on the field, but really it should have been an interception because it popped out of Dotson in his control, which he didn't have much control anyway, but it ended up popping up, never hit the ground. The ball never hit the ground between it getting passed to Dotson and it popping up to Greenlaw. Greenlaw gets his hands on it. Ball never touched the ground. Greenlaw got it. That should have been an interception, but I guess Kyle Shanahan did not challenge it. I guess they didn't show a replay of it on the Jumbotron, so Kyle never got a good look at it, so he didn't challenge it. I think that's why, but I really wished that they would have challenged that because that would have 100% been an interception for the 49ers defense. And, you know, what ended up happening on that play is that the Commanders ended up scoring a touchdown. And they tried to go for the 2-point conversion, but who forced the failed 2-point conversion? No other than St. Nick Bosa. That doesn't count as a sack, by the way. It would have been a sack on any other play. I don't know why, just on the 2-point conversions, it doesn't count as a sack. It's just a failed 2-point conversion, unfortunately. But Nick Bosa making plays left and right today. It was a great performance from him. So at that point, the score was 30-20, and the 49ers at this point have a little over 5 minutes left in the fourth to just drain the clock. And they end the drive with the McCaffrey touchdown. And George Kittle, who had been having a great day, he helped convert the first down right at the goal line that allowed them to pretty much get that dagger of a touchdown. And so the 49ers scored 37 points on this defense. That's the one thing that I want to highlight here. You guys, if you guys saw my preview episodes, this Commanders defense is no joke. Here, Commanders defense. Look at all of the things that they rank top 10 in. And especially when you look at points, they're 9th in points allowed per game. This season, they've allowed just an average of 19.7 points per game. The 49ers hung 37 points on them. That tells you a lot. They did it without Deebo Samuel. And again, I mean, they did it with a rookie at quarterback, Brock Purdy. This was supposed to be a huge test for Brock Purdy. It was a huge test for Brock Purdy. He got sacked 3 times in this game. He threw an interception, you know, and he's just unfazed. He continues to be unfazed. Just in the second half, the 49ers erupted for 30 points. Think about that. That's just crazy, and it speaks as well to the adjustments made by both Kyle Shanahan and DeMeco Ryans. As expected, at this point, you know, the DeMeco Ryans halftime adjustments are an evergreen topic. You know, we can always talk about that because it's been so consistent this year, but it was nice to see Kyle Shanahan as well get in on it and have his offense just erupt in the second half. Let me look at some comments really quick. Sorry, I haven't been ignoring you guys. I promise. Well, okay, maybe I have been a little bit, but sorry, I've just been going on a tangent here. That was a really exciting win. Melissa, thank you so much. Merry Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve to all of you guys watching. Thank you so much for spending your Christmas Eve evening with me today talking about this 49ers team. Make sure you guys like this video if you have not yet. Let's go. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet. I appreciate all of the love. Thank you so much. All right. Let's look at some other comments here. Melissa says, Steph, hope you have a lovely holiday and can't wait to see you break down and react to the game. Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Keith Carter also says, Merry Christmas Eve. Said it right this time, right, Keith? Keith very politely told me on Twitter that I was mispronouncing his name, and if I ever mispronounce anyone's name on these lives, please just let me know. But thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. He said, "Commanders no CMC. Ron Rivera had him in Carolina." Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point, actually, and one that I missed in talking about my pregame or my preview episodes. Is that yeah, he does have a lot of experience with Christian McCaffrey, and I knew if there's any defense who every defense knows that they want to stop Christian McCaffrey, but not every defense has the capability of doing it. Or not stopping, but limiting, I should say. The Commanders are a really good defense, and so I did think that they were going to be able to limit Christian McCaffrey, and they did, right, to an extent. And so that's kind of what we saw in the first half. Keith says, Niners drink a Heineke to celebrate. I like that. I like that for sure. I might pop one open, actually, after this. Yeah, 2.5, 2.5 more pieces for Nick Bosa to get his 20-piece. All right. Let me know if I'm saying this wrong. Mazael Kalel Peterson says, call in. Should we do a call in? I mean, that'd be crazy if we did a call in show. I forgot how I set that up. I guess I could give you guys the link. Let me see. If I put it in the description, I think you guys can call in. Let me try that really quick. Yeah, we can make this call in. But I have the right to remove anyone who be acting crazy in here. All right. I just updated the YouTube description to give you guys the ability to call in if you guys want. So let me know if you guys want to join in. He says the Wentz in pain from that Dave Wentz. I like that. They wince in pain from that beatdown. They wince in pain. Okay, that's a good one. JR Meadow says Nicky Bosa, aka the Disruptor, absolutely needs to be the DPOY this season without a doubt. All right, let's talk about Brock Purdy really quick. So, like I said, Commanders defense really good. This was going to be a huge test for Brock Purdy. In a way, I felt like we were going to see Brock Purdy's floor in this game. I think this was going to be a good measuring stick for Brock Purdy and how the 49ers were going to fare, going into the playoffs with him at the helm. Since Brock Purdy's taken over at quarterback for Jimmy Garoppolo, the 49ers have scored 126 points. Their opponents have scored 53 points. 49ers offense is averaging 31.5 points per game with Purdy at quarterback. That's better than 2019 under Jimmy Garoppolo. Shout out to Akash for tweeting that out on Twitter. Good little tidbit there. But that tells you right there that the 49ers are an extremely balanced team right now. They're so good on offense, as seen with the 126 points that they've scored since Brock Purdy's taken over at quarterback. And they're so good at defense, as they've been all season, limiting opponents to just 53 points in that same span. And so going into the playoffs with that mix, they're going to be very hard to beat. Very, very hard. And after a turbulent first half for Purdy, as I mentioned, in the first half, Purdy was 4 of 9, 55 yards, and the interception. And the interception. In the second half, he was 11 of 12, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 14.9 yards per attempt. That's absolutely crazy. So, he just turned it up in the second half. I don't know what Kyle said to him. I don't know what them boys was cooking in the locker rooms at halftime, but they turned it up in that second half. And Purdy finished 15 of 22, 234 yards, 10.6 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Oh my God, I need to drink water. 1 interception, which, as I mentioned, I'm not holding that interception against Purdy at all. I almost don't even want to count it. It counts, but I don't want to count it. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he was sacked 3 times as well, but a passer rating of 114.6. And let's talk about George Kittle once again. 6 catches, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He came up big today. And it seems like George Kittle is the biggest beneficiary of Deebo Samuel being out, because it seems like the targets have been going to him primarily. And hey, we're not going to complain, right? Because I feel like most of the season we've been complaining about George Kittle being a ghost on this offense, and suddenly he has this huge involvement. So I think we're liking that for this team, certainly. And like I said, another big game for Nick Bosa, a sack, another strip sack. This is your DPOY, ladies and gentlemen. Get used to it. He's just coming up real big for this team, and it's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but he forced that failed 2-point conversion, and that was in a huge moment of the game, because if the Commanders convert that 2-point conversion, it becomes a much closer game, and the Commanders would still be in it had they converted that. So Nick Bosa, I was told that Nick Bosa doesn't show up in big moments. That's what Emmanuel Acho told me. Sounds like he doesn't really know what he's talking about. But anyway, this team is playoff ready, okay? This was the last hurdle of the regular season for this team, and this was the biggest hurdle that Brock Purdy, since he's taken over, has faced and was going to face before the playoffs. So this game was huge in so many ways, and for this team to put up 37 points in such a game is so impressive. They are absolutely playoff ready. This team is poised to make a deep playoff run, because there isn't much that teams are doing right now that has impacted Brock Purdy to the point of not being able to perform. You know what I mean? So, man, it's almost hard to believe. It's really hard to believe that. And I'm so comfortable watching Brock Purdy. That was one of the things that I mentioned in the early going of, Purdy taking over for Jimmy Garoppolo, is like, whenever I'd watch Jimmy Garoppolo play, even when he has like those really good stretches of games, I'm nervous. Like, I'm nervous watching Jimmy Garoppolo play quarterback always, because you never know what's going to happen. But Brock Purdy, he's just so calm, so cool and collected, that I just feel comfortable watching him, and makes football fun. It makes it fun to watch this team on offense, because I have confidence in him, that he's going to make a play, and he has been, right? He's looked great, and this team continues to do well in all facets of the game. 8 straight wins. This is the most dangerous team in the NFL. Well, it's definitely in the NFC. I don't know if all of the NFL, but they're definitely up there. So let's look at some stats here. I know. Let's see the box score. Fred Warner had 13 tackles in this game. Diamador Lenore had 9. Last week, Lenore, I think, had the most tackles on the team. Lenore also had a pass defense. Pretty good game from Lenore altogether. McCaffrey had 15 carries, 46 yards, and the 1 touchdown. We saw some Ty Davis Price in this game as well. We saw Ty Davis Price. He had 9 carries, 30 yards. His longest run went for 7 yards. So not much, but it was good to see him, because we hadn't seen him for a few weeks. The reason that we didn't see much of Jordan Mason in this game was the fact that he had a hamstring injury that he suffered on Wednesday. I don't know what happened there. Did you guys hear what I was saying? There was some weird video blip here on StreamYard. At least it looked like on my end. Keith says, Purdy lands 2024. Absolutely. I think you go into next season with Purdy and Lance, and you feel really good about that. You feel amazing about that. You're going to have the cheapest quarterback room, and with so much potential in both of those guys. So absolutely, I'm with you on that one. And Shanahan Lynch 2028. Yeah, like, let's extend their contracts now, right? Yeah, I mean, this team is battle tested, I think, and they're ready. They're ready to make a deep playoff run. But yeah, Jordan Mason, with his hamstring injury that he suffered Wednesday, that's why he didn't handle any carries in this game. But that's okay. I'm okay with that, and I'm glad we got to see a little bit of Ty Davis Price. I thought that was nice. So the 49ers converted 4 of their 11 third down opportunities, which isn't much, and a little worse than what the Commanders did. But all in all, it ended up working out for them. They finished with 7.3 yards per play average compared to the Commanders' 5.1, 8.7 yards per pass. And I know for all the talk that we had about the time of possession in the first half, how drastically different that was, and that ended up being closer than that. Washington held the ball for 33 minutes while the 49ers held it for about 26. And another thing, the 49ers won the turnover margin, right? The Washington Commanders turned the ball over twice. Ah, sorry. Man, ESPN, NFL, like all these like sites, they start playing videos like as soon as you get on their pages. So it just started playing a video in the background. That threw me off. Um, Keith says trade TDP to Titans for Henry. Whew. Who says no? Who says no? Kevin Hill says not a 49ers fan, but this team is real good. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for jumping on the live and you know, adding that comment. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we agree. We agree that they are really good. And they're ready. They're ready to make a playoff push. So feel really good about this game. Feel really good about this team. There aren't a lot of flaws on this team. And if there are, like, I know some people were like, well, yeah, the 49ers secondary is kind of a flaw in this team that, you know, at moments in this game, we saw the Commanders exploit a little bit, right? They were able to have some success throwing the football. But I think when you look at the adjustments that D'Amico Ryans makes as a whole, it doesn't end up mattering much. And when you're an offense who is able to put so many points up on the board, it also doesn't end up mattering much. So all in all, like this team is equipped to weather any storm that may come their way, it looks like. So I feel really confident these next 2 games this season should be easier. The playing against the Raiders on New Year's Day, that will be in Las Vegas, and against the Cardinals at home after that. So the Cardinals are pretty much done at this point. So 49ers still trying to get that 2 seed, and the Vikings once again just I'm pretty sure their win was another last minute win, right? It was like uh I think they said it was a field goal at the very end of the game, right? It was a walk-off field goal for the Vikings. They're just getting so freaking lucky. How is this 2 seed? Okay? I'm hoping that the Packers can beat them. I think they play the Packers next week. So that's what I'm hoping for. But 49ers pretty much have to keep winning in hopes of getting that 2 seed. They pretty much are guaranteed the 3 seed. They are going to get no worse than the 3 seed. So at the worst, they'll be 3 seed. So, but you still want to get that 2 seed. So hopefully the Vikings drop one of these games and the 49ers keep it going. Keith says Garoppolo window open to possible playoff return. Yes and no. I mean, one, when you see how well Brock Purdy is playing, and when you see that he's kind of doing some things better than Jimmy Garoppolo, like we talked about it, him being able to escape the pocket. That's one thing that, Jimmy Garoppolo never did pretty well, at least in these last couple years. He doesn't handle pressure as well as Brock Purdy has shown. And then also the ability to throw on the move. He had that really entertaining throwaway earlier where he did a little pirouette. And then also just the fact that he's willing to throw downfield. So far, he seems like a more accurate downfield passer. I don't know if it might be too small of a sample size to say, but so far from what I've seen, he has a pretty good arm and is accurate throwing downfield. So I'm not going to mess with that. I'm not going to mess with that. I think also if you're Jimmy Garoppolo and you see what's going on with the Jets, you're like, okay, I don't want to come back this season because I pretty much got a starting role locked up in New York with the Jets and Salah. So let's not risk any injury at this point. So I think Garoppolo's good. I don't think we see Garoppolo at any point in the playoffs. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Hind says Brock looks more calm than Jimmy G. That's exactly what I was saying. He does. He looks more calm, and it makes me more calm watching him because he's just more poised. He's just in complete control of the situation of this offense, and yeah, it is nice, right? Yeah, Keith says 61-yard walk-off field goal for the Vikings today. So they barely got through the New York Giants today. Hopefully, I think like my last hope, right, is that the Packers can beat them. But we're just going to have to keep waiting to see if the Vikings drop one. And like I said, the 49ers got to keep winning heading into the playoffs. But all right, guys, that's pretty much all I have today for this game. It was a great win. I'm going to be able to spend my Christmas, real happy knowing that the 49ers won their 8th in a row. And I appreciate you guys checking this video out on spending this Christmas Eve with me today. And hope you guys have a great holiday, whoever you spend it with, whatever you do. Just hope you have a great time and enjoy that time. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. I appreciate all the love. That's all I want for Christmas is you guys just like this video. Can we do that? Can we get like 25 likes? Can we go for that goal? All right. Let's try that. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your night. I'll talk to you guys in the coming week. For now, peace.